So no new sailing again this week, because Seahorse is still on the hard. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to show you some film of the sailing we did last year and have a bit of a ramble about the way foresails are fitted to boats. You see, most of you will know that Seahorse is up for sale. Not because there's anything wrong with her, far from it, we love her. But we need something with just a little bit more space to make the whole experience more enjoyable for Izzy. And as much as I've been telling people that I'm not looking for a new boat just yet, not until I sell Seahorse, I'd be an idiot, wouldn't I, if I didn't at least have some idea of what was on the market. And there's two things of note. One is, there's not really very many boats around that really interest me. And the other one is, that of those boats that interest me, all of them have a foresail attachment that I don't like. You see, everything either has a foil on the front or a furler. A foil being that groove that's permanently fixed to the forestay that you slide your head sails up and down, and a furler being a foil that's then fitted to a drum so that you pull a rope, it wraps your foresail around your forestay. From my point of view, there's problems with both of these. You see, foils work great if you've got a full crew and you go racing. You're not worried about the inconvenience of having to pull your sail up and down, and you've got a full crew on board to help feed the sail into the slot when you put it up and to help fold it up when it comes down. Equally, if you're a cruising sailor, a furler's a great idea, isn't it? They're so convenient that if all you want to do is day sail and go sailing when the weather's nice, it's great. The trouble is, I want a bit of both and I want a bit more. You see, I want to go racing sometimes and I want to go cruising other times. So when I go racing, what I really want is the performance advantages of the foil. Except I sail on my own, or at the very most, short-handed. And pulling a foresail up a foil is really hard work. Someone needs to feed it in while someone else is pulling it up. And equally, the sail is not actually attached to the forestay until it's pulled up. And if it's a windy day, you might actually need someone else on deck to keep the sail under control while you pull it up. And the same's true dropping it down again. From the moment the sail leaves the foil, it's out of control. It's not fixed to anything. And you have to pull the whole sail down before you can even begin to think about folding it up. And I'm sure all of you out there with sailboats know how hard it is to fold up sails. You try doing it on the front of a boat with waves pitching around. It's no fun at all. So you might think then, why don't I get a furler? The trouble is, if I go racing, I want to change sail, and I want the best sail for the job. Now with a furler, I could drop the sail like you would with a foil, but then I have all the same problems, because it is after all just a foil on a drum. And there doesn't seem much point in doing that if you got the furler. The trouble is, when you reef a foresail on a furler, you end up with a sail that's just got a horrible shape. Sails aren't flat, with a curved surface, and if you reef in the front half of the sail, you put the curve and all the fullness of the sail in the wrong place. Some sails have foam pads or whatever sewn into the luff, the idea being that as you roll it up, it takes up some of this extra material that's been cut into the sail to help the performance of the sail when it's reefed. And I'm sure they work to some small extent, except A, the sail's always going to be the wrong shape anyway, because it was never cut to be rolled up, and B, you've now got the compromise of bits of foam on the front of your sail, even when it's unfurled and it's at its best. So what's the solution, you may well ask? Well, I'll tell you. It's hanks. I think they're just seen as old-fashioned, but for me, they solve just about all the problems. Let's deal with the performance side first. You put the sail up on hanks. On a light wind day, when you don't want too much halyard tension, you do end up with a little bit of scalloping between each of the hanks, which isn't ideal, and the foil would be slightly better. But in every other respect, hanks offer the same performance benefits really that the foil does. Except you can hank your sail onto the forestay before you've even taken it out of your bag, so it's always under control. Equally, when you drop the sail, you drop it onto the deck with the hanks keeping it under control, and if you're clever in the way you do this, you can get all the flakes of the sail in the right position so that you can then put it straight into the bag. It really is so much more convenient. In fact, if I had to fold up my head sail, I'd much rather do it on the boat, probably even while I'm going along, because the wind will keep it in position, and than I ever would want to do it on the pontoon or on land. Folding up sails on your own is hard work, but it's a breeze when you got hanks. So then we get to, what are the drawbacks of it? Well, the first one is space. If you day sail, like I described most of the further people probably would, the natural thing to do is store the sail down below. We just leave ours in the cabin on the sole. So it does mean when I go sailing, I've got an extra couple of minutes to drag the sail out, pull it to the front of the boat and hank it on. but it's not that big a deal, and of course at least while it's down below, it's kept out of the weather. All those people with sails on furlers, they're always in the UV and the rain and the weather. They have to age more than my sail does sitting in its cabin. And of course if I go cruising, what I do is I just leave it permanently hanked on the forestay on the deck. In fact, we had the sail bag modified to put an extra 6 inches of material in the bottom so that I had a bit more room in it. So we just leave it on the deck, even with the halyards still attached. And when we want to go sailing, we just undo the zip and pull the sail up. It really is just as easy as unfurling. But there's so many other benefits to go with it. I get to pick the right sail to go sailing with. I don't have the compromise that you got with a furled sail, and I don't have the problem of changing it like you do with a foil. And let's just look at costs and maintenance. The thing with hanks is they're made out of brass or bronze, which is soft and it wears out. So you could say that's a bad thing. But really, it's a good thing. It's deliberately made out of a softer metal than the stainless steel of your rigging, so that you don't damage the rigging when you're pulling it up and down. It's only ever the hank. And although when you're buying a lot of them, they can mount up, they're comparatively cheap and they can be replaced by yourself at home. You just have to prise off the tang that locates them into the eye that's in the sail and then fold a new one on and hammer it down. And although you see pictures like this of hanks that are worn out, trust me, you've got to do a lot of sailing to wear out a hank like that. For the sort of sailing most of us do, they're comparatively maintenance free. Now granted, a foil is fairly maintenance free as well, except it is a large investment. They're not cheap, these foils, especially if you want to get a racing one from Harken and it's made of carbon or something. And a furler, okay, I'm sure many of you don't service your furler, but there's a lot of stuff inside a furler which really warrants being looked after. So anyway, the point of this ramble is really, hanks. Why haven't more boats got them? Cheap, simple, easy to use, almost as much performance as a foil, almost as much convenience as the furler, but in all other respects, just better. Anyway, that's it. Enough of a rant. The boat goes back in the water again soon, so we can all go sailing again. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching. I'm Ian, and this has been Sailing with the Foxhole family.